I think I do it right. It's the first time we did a meme. I don't think he did it right, okay? Snow. We got snow right now. At 9:52 p.m. Eastern Time, my radar is saying 41 degrees and we have snow outside. No, it's not hell. It's snow. Snow. And we'll go back to the lake a little bit. Because I also think if he's not going to be on, I don't know if he's going to be on today, but Bonnie, let's have some fun. Bonnie. Now, I just can't believe it. It's 41 degrees outside and it's snowing. A person, I'm not going to say who, said it's not snowing. Well, I tell you this, but that person that said it's not snowing was wrong. It actually is snowing here in Three Rivers, where my headquarters is based out of. I should do what Killam did. I'm kind of glad I didn't do it like Killam did it. I don't like the restaurant experience. What the hell? What the shit? I just don't want to see the restaurant experience.
I'm James, and me.
Marker?
Your face is your moneymaker, and what you put on it says a lot about you. I'm Jane.
And you're stupid.
They just boarded her up like she was some common warehouse.
Once upon a time, fast food restaurants were the kings of the world. While the likes of McDonald's, Starbucks, and Domino's continue to thrive in all types of economic weather, a lot of fast food chains are taking a serious hit and are even starting to close down some of their locations. Here are 10 fast food chains that are struggling to stay in business.
Might as well hang out with us people.
Taco Bell.
Wait, so you guys didn't get it? We went to Taco Bell.
It may be hard to believe, but this Mexican-inspired U.S. fast food chain is in a bit of trouble. While Taco Bell still has a large number of restaurants across the country, as well as a few international ones, they are closing stores at quite a rate. Founded in California by Glenn Bell, Taco Bell has been a staple for many taco and burrito fans for decades. The restaurant chain saw a big increase in popularity in the 80s and 90s, especially when it introduced a lot more healthier options on their menus, such as taco salads. However, the years after that haven't been too kind on Taco Bell, and recently they have had to close a few locations, in particular around the Maine and Pennsylvania areas. It's not just Taco Bell that is starting to feel the heat. Yum, which is the company that owns Taco Bell, as well as Pizza Hut,
KFC too,
and KFC are also on the decline. Many Pizza Hut and KFC restaurants are seeing a big drop in popularity and revenue. Hopefully Yum can weather the storm, as we'd hate to permanently lose any of these fast food big hitters. Jack in the Box.
Never heard of it. Never seen Jack in the Box.
Through our list of fast food chains that are struggling, it must be noted that Jack in the Box
never been there.
A lot since it burst onto the scene.
There's Jack in the Box right here. It's 300 miles away.
It is still standing strong. Well, almost. Jack in the Box has been a favorite of many people who love a good burger and tacos. However, over the years, scandals have surrounded this much-loved fast food chain. In the 1980s, Jack in the Box got into trouble for accidentally shipping horse meat that was labeled as beef. Although this was at the fault of the supplier, Jack in the Box took a while to recover from this.
You must have been so hungry.
Then there were the 90s, which brought more bad news for this burger chain, as an outbreak of food poisoning caused hundreds of customers to be sick, with fatal results for 4 people. After all of that, Jack in the Box managed to survive when lesser restaurants would have sunk without a trace. However, in recent years, Jack in the Box has tried to push forward and expand its restaurants outside of its West Coast home turf. This hasn't gone too well for them and has left the company a bit thin. While they did manage to open several new restaurants, they have also had to close some. The competition is fierce within the burger trade, and this might be one step too far for Jack in the Box. Sonic Drive-In.
They suck. They're gross. I had Sonic. Sonic got me
The
sick.
fast food and restaurant business
I had
is
Sonic,
cutthroat
got sick off of
and
Sonic
full of
food.
Competition. One of the best ways to stay in business is to change and evolve with the current climate.
Their food was
Unfortunately,
gross.
that is not the case with Sonic Drive-In, and could be one of the reasons the burger chain is struggling so much. While
Sonic
there
was
are many
gross.
Sonic lovers out there, it has to be said that the
Yeah.
Sonic's model is something from a bygone era, in which people would pull up to a drive-in where wait staff in skates would serve you a burger and fries. It's like something out of an old musical.
Grease!
You don't expect John
Grease!
Travolta and his T-Birds to pull up and start singing about Grease lightning. This is one of the problems that Sonic Drive-In faces. They haven't really ever escaped that image and moved with the times. While a lot of people
I go to
these
small
days
town
are
ones.
concerned about the planet, gas usage, and their health, Sonic
like-
still insists on having drive-ins and serving greasy food with over-sugary drinks. And then, of
That-
course, there is the competition. Sonic struggles against bigger companies.
Kidding me? One, Sonic is gross, and two, if you want to go to a drive-in, go to a small town one. Like I've been to 2 drive-ins. Okay, I've been to one in Kalamazoo County in Porch called Westlake Drive-In. Okay, you get good food there. You get beautiful pit. You get the beautiful scene of the ocean, and some no fishing signs and a fence. But still, it's a pretty picture. Then you got their drive-in over in Coldwater. I don't even know what it's called anymore. One time it was called Allen's, now it's called something else. I go there at least once a year. Good food there. But Sonic is not good. I've been there one time and it sucked. I actually got sick off the food off Sonic's food. I got sick off of it. Besides, it was CrossFit Sam's Club, which that stuff was just gross. Next time, I'm going back to where I usually go to. For now on, I go to Westlake or I go to the one Coldwater whenever I'm in the area. I'm sorry to tell you, but small town drivers are better. Uh-oh.
Companies such as McDonald's, Wendy's, and Burger King, which just adds to their
right.
problems. In recent years, Sonic has tried to take steps to rectify this by appealing to the younger consumer
You're too far to
and
go.
using ordering apps, as well as marketing their commercials towards women. Even with these new changes in the works, the future doesn't look too bright for
Sonic needs to go
Drive-In
bye-bye,
and their
permanently.
style of fast food. Quiznos.
I'd like to be alone with the sandwich for a moment.
There are many things that can
Never
make a
seen a
fast food
Quiznos.
chain fail. It can be the bad quality of the food,
Ugh.
the lack of brand awareness, or
What
it can
the-
even sometimes be all down to bad luck. However, there is one thing that will sink your restaurant time and again, and that's competition. Not just competition, which can sometimes
What
be
the hell?
business, but a competitor that does pretty much what you do, but bigger.
Subway's
better,
been doing
and
it for
a
ye-
lot more famously.
I'll stick with Subway.
Is one giant reason that Quiznos is struggling to hold its own in the fast food world. A few decades ago, Quiznos actually managed to stay pretty close to Subway within the market. Quiznos offered great ingredients for their subs and at cheap prices, and they also did something that no one else did at the time. They toasted their bread.
Oh, you're my #1 Christmas boutique gift item.
It seems an odd thing now, but not even Subway did that back then. Soon, however, Subway got the jump on Quiznos when they introduced toasting ovens into every restaurant, and then gave us their infamous $5 footlong, which blew the sub sandwich competition.
It's still
out of the
close to
water.
that. It felt
Quiznos struggled to
6.
keep up after that, and with the rise in popularity
Wait, Quiznos
of their
what?
sandwich joints,
Quizno what?
their bread.
Oh, you're my #1 Christmas boutique gift item.
It seems an odd
Quiznos
thing
Battle
now,
Creek closed?
but not even
I didn't know it was
Subway
I've been living here
did
for
that
about.
Soon, however,
See-
Subway got the jump on Quiznos when they introduced toasting ovens into every restaurant.
There's almost going Niles at one
Gave us
time.
Their infamous $5 footlong.
$6
Blew the
upstate.
sub sandwich competition out of the water. Quiznos struggled to keep
Battle
up
Creek-
after that.
Quiznos
and
Battle
with
Creek
the
closing.
rise in popularity of other sandwich
I know.
joints, such as Jersey Mike's and Firehouse Subs.
Firehouse
as
Subs,
well
I've
as
seen them.
continued
Never been
success
there.
of Subway,
Been to Blimpies.
Quiznos
Blimpies
is having
sucks.
A tough time, and it doesn't look set to change anytime
Blimpies
soon.
was alright.
Steak and Shake.
I know this steak doesn't exist.
Originally,
Blimpies is alright.
every restaurant, and then gave us their infamous $5
Blimpies is alright.
footlong, which blew the sub sandwich.
Blimpies is
competition
iffy.
out of the
I don't even know if
water.
Blimpies is still
Quiznos
around.
struggled to keep up after that, And with the rise in popularity of other sandwich joints, such as Jersey Mike's and Firehouse Subs,
Seen
as
one.
well as the continued
Never been to it,
success
though.
of Subway, Quiznos is having a
Besides,
tough
Firehouse
time,
Subs
and it
is a good
doesn't
place.
look set to change anytime soon. Steak and Shake.
I know this.
Steak and Shake going away?
Originally, this
Steak
Illinois
and Shake was fine.
fast casual restaurant chain was actually a gas station that also served chicken and beer until creator Gus Mills decided on a different direction and converted it into a burger hut. Since then, Steak and Shake has built an empire on handcrafted cuts of steak that make for one amazing burger, as well as their legendary cherry shakes. Not too long ago, Steak and Shake was one of the few casual restaurant chains that were continually making a profit, and they proudly boasted about selling multi-millions
They
of
still
their
do.
burgers and shakes each year.
I got here with a frosty.
Now the chain is in trouble as profits are down and many of their restaurants have been closed. The CEO has gone on record to say that the closures are only temporary, but closures of any kind are never a good sign.
Well, I know closed down
With
due to a
shutting
fire.
down many restaurants, Steak and Shake could struggle to get their customers back through the door if they reopen them, that is. Another money-saving device that Steak and Shake is thinking about is cutting the cherries out of their much-loved shakes. While this could
Okay.
save them up to $1 million a year, they could end up losing a lot more than that if customers don't like it. After all, we all love a cherry on top, don't we? Boston Market.
I don't eat it though, but I just like it looks.
During
Tastes
the
good, though.
1990s, Boston Market had huge growth and a big rise in popularity. Starting out in a suburb of, you guessed it, Boston, Boston Market had a
Yeah.
simple idea, and that was to produce great tasting rotisserie chicken
These are
and easy sides.
They don't do that
Originally
anymore.
called Boston Chicken, the restaurant chain exploded as families rushed out to get some tasty chicken. Their brand grew and grew, especially once they renamed themselves Boston Market. And with a claim to be rotisserie chicken experts, restaurants opened up all over the place, and families
Even
everywhere
frozen
were
meals
happy.
now too.
Unfortunately, by the end of the 90s, many restaurants, as well as grocery stores, were producing cheap and tasty rotisserie chickens, which took its toll on Boston Market.
Thank you for the chicken.
So much so that by the end of the decade, they had filed for bankruptcy. Not wanting to be beaten just yet, Boston Market put their faith in fast food giants McDonald's as the Golden Arches bought them. Unfortunately for Boston Market, Ronald McDonald and Company couldn't do much to change their fate, and after a few years, sold them. With new owners and a new lust for change, Boston Market is trying to stay in the restaurant business, but they are hanging on by a thread as more and more of their branches are closing, including the last ones in Boston, for which this chain
What the
gets its name. That can't be good. Crystal.
If you're not making money hand over fist, something's terribly wrong.
How to break in
Crystal?
hearts.
Never heard of it. Crystal? Never heard of Crystal.
There may be a lot of people that have never had the pleasure of eating at a Crystal's, which is surprising, as Crystal has been serving its signature burgers for over 80 years.
Never heard of it.
Sitting primarily to the south of the country,
That's
Crystal
why.
has hundreds of locations in places like Alabama, Louisiana, Mississippi, and Arkansas. But
Sorry.
never really
I stay
broke
in
the
Michigan.
north. Many believe that this is because of the similarities between Crystal and White Castle.
White
After all,
Castle is
Crystal
alright.
did take inspiration from White Castle when they started out. In particular, these small square burgers.
And let me get a 5-cheese Crystal combo, no fries.
Keep it with fries.
No fries.
While Crystal may be a lesser-known burger joint in the north, in the south, it has been a huge fast food chain and a lot of people's favorite burger place. Even so, with the nationwide popularity of McDonald's, Wendy's, and Burger King, Crystal has struggled to keep up, and this trend is continuing. Another factor in the fall of Crystal is that the restaurants themselves aren't very well maintained. Most of them are over 30 years old, and the company struggles to keep them clean. There are plans to demolish some of the outlets and give the Crystal brand a much-needed revamp, but it could be too little too late for the burger joint that was once Elvis's favorite fast food restaurant. The King would often chow down on Crystal burgers after recording. Let's hope this isn't the end of the road for the much-loved Crystal, the Cheesecake Factory.
You've got to try this cheesecake.
Starting out in California in the late 1970s, the Cheesecake Factory had big success with its restaurants as it not only expanded across the country, but it went global with restaurants opening up in different countries. Closely associated with malls and shopping outlets, which is where a lot of their restaurants are, the Cheesecake Factory rode the waves of the popular teen hangout spots in the 80s and 90s. However, the locations could be one reason for their downfall. Given the big decline in people, more importantly, families spending the day in the mall, the Cheesecake Factory has seen a dramatic dip in sales and revenue.
The only losers are the big cheesecake conglomerate.
Then, of course, there is the menu. While the Cheesecake Factory never claimed to be healthy, in the health-conscious age we live in, less and less people want to indulge in the high-calorie food that the Cheesecake Factory offers. Another reason for the Cheesecake Factory's decline is the prices.
Damn,
While
$15.
it's not a fast food restaurant, the Cheesecake Factory does fall under that umbrella, and the prices don't match that. With a huge menu and high prices, the Cheesecake Factory can feel like fine dining instead of fast food dining, and the numbers are starting to show that, as the Cheesecake Factory is closing many restaurants around the country. Not even having Penny from The Big Bang Theory work at the Cheesecake Factory has helped to get customers through the doors. TGI Fridays.
I even made it rain your favorites.
While the dining experience is ever-changing, it can be hard for some restaurant chains to keep up. Fast food is dominated by market leaders such as McDonald's.
High Now is good.
To adapt and
I can get a burger for High Now for.
Dining is getting, well, more high-end. Other restaurants are turning to more innovative foods and concepts in order
Fridays
to
like
attract the
Applebee's.
millennial market. But there is, however, one area of dining that is on the verge of being extinct. Casual dining. We've mentioned on our list of fast food chains that are struggling, the likes of the Cheesecake Factory and Boston Market. And now it's time for TGI Fridays. These once pillars of the casual dining subculture are struggling to find their place in today's society. And the future could get even darker for them.
That's impossible!
Originally started as a singles bar, TGI Fridays became the place to be to start your weekend off with great food and better drinks. However, over the years, TGI Fridays has struggled to change with the world and the shift in restaurant culture. It has therefore taken some big hits over the years. Not going down without a fight, TGI Fridays is rebranding itself more toward the gastro pub culture as it hopes to come back for the new decade. We all still look forward to Fridays, so we hope this once restaurant icon will come back stronger than ever. Tim Hortons.
Never heard it.
121, let's go, move!
So far, all of our fast food chains on this list have been U.S.-based restaurants. That's all about to change with our next entry. Named after ice hockey player Tim Horton, the Canadian Coffee and Donut Shop is the largest quick-service restaurant chain in Canada, continuing to beat off rivals Starbucks and McDonald's north of the border, as well as being most Canadians' favorite coffee. In the U.S., however, Tim Hortons has struggled. Starting to cross the border in the 1980s, Tim Hortons had some moderate success, particularly in states such as New York, so they pushed forward with their expansion plans. Unfortunately for this Canadian staple, local fast food chains such as Dunkin' Donuts proved too much competition for them.
I don't know what you're talking about. Hey.
And Tim Hortons had to close some of their branches at quite a rate. In 2014, Burger King bought Tim Hortons, and that seemed to jumpstart the brand in the U.S. However, sales have declined once again, and franchises have dropped. While Tim Hortons remains number one in Canada, for a lot of people, they could be saying bye-bye to the U.S. sooner than they'd like. Help yourself to more great videos and tap that screen. Checking us out for the first time? Then show us some love and hit that subscribe button
I don't think so.
To join it.
But like I said, guys, I keep.
Doesn't translate terribly well into Mandarin.
You might want to grab your Stars and Bucks coffee for this one. It's going to be an interesting
Mr. Bean?
China's copycat culture is well known, and it's no secret that they are good at replicating stuff. Some knockoffs are very good, and at first glance, you can't tell the difference. But this is not always the case, especially when it comes to well-known fast food chains. Here are 10 hilarious knockoff fast food chains in China.
Chinese are very good at this sort of thing.
Mac Dac.
I'll have the Big Mac, please.
China loves the taste of the West. It's new, exciting, and a special treat for them to be able to go eat Western food. Although there are many knockoff Western food chains, some of them you might be fooled at first glance. So did you think this was a McDonald's? At second glance, MacDac is clearly not McDonald's, but more like a tribute to Daffy Duck.
Idiot, dope.
That's
The
Scrooge.
Happy Meals come with gold coins. China is excellent at replicating, and if there is a successful business they want to be part of, they make their own version replicating everything they can, from the biggest to the smallest details. McDonald's is in second place for the top grossing American fast food chains in China. Not only that, but Chinese people trust American fast food chains, so the replicas might think they can fool people by luring them in with the same look, feel, and similar tastes. How close can they get the taste to the real thing, though? Instead of McD's, you have MacDacs, whose menu includes burgers, fries, nuggets, and some kind of replica of the Big Mac. But the most important question is, were they able to get the Big Mac sauce right?
It's still a Big Mac.
KFD and KFG.
What the
Wow.
fuck?
Sound familiar? KFC. And what comes after C? Oh, D. KFD. Then there is KFG. And you can also find a DFC. These all just
What
use
the
a play
fuck?
on letters to
What
imitate
the-
the well-known
Okay,
food chain
WFT.
KFC. There
What
are
the
so
fuck?
many rip-offs for this popular fast food
My
chain
question,
because
what
it is
the
loved
fuck?
by the Chinese people. And
Sorry with
it's
swearing,
the
guys,
top
but yeah.
grossing fast food chain countrywide. All the versions of KFC seem to be
L-
just a variation
What
of
the
any
heck?
combo of 3 English letters on the wall.
I want to rewind that real quick. So we got K. Oh, what's this? Here's the ones: FBC, KLC, KFG, MFC. Okay. Oh, that's kind of neat. They have that's pretty neat. KLC has chicken on it, wearing Colonel Sanders' tie. That's pretty neat. But I'm not gonna go there.
KFC seem to be just a variation of
It's like
any
fighting version of
combo of 3
KFCs.
English letters on the wall. The other knockoff Kentucky Fried Chicken outlets in China include KLC, FBC, and MFC. They all use the red and white brand
Oh.
colors that KFC
Beep,
uses,
beep,
and
Incorporated.
have a different sketch
Mother
face to
Beep
accompany the
Incorporated.
logo.
Is it-
Sometimes the sketch is
is
a
it-
fat chicken, other times it's a Chinese man's face.
Here's me, and I'm you.
They offer a menu that includes popcorn chicken and fries, just like the real thing. And, of
Yeah,
course, the
rip-off-
signature
rip-off
dish of fried
Rip-off
chicken.
restaurants
You
around the
can
world.
find a KFD
So I'm watching.
or KFG all over the country.
I feel like
This-
a Kentucky Fried Idiot.
Cheeseburger.
Cheeseburger first.
Recognize this logo?
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Okay, what I'm watching, guys, is this guy fast food chains that are based off American, but they're made in China, where they can't get sued. Russia and China can't get sued. Now we're doing Burger King. Now we're doing Burger King, or I should say Cheeseburger. Now this is gonna be funny as H. Now we're doing Burger. Now we're doing Burger King. They did McDonald's. Now they're doing Burger King.
If it isn't the Burger King logo, but instead for a place called Cheeseburger. How can you really change this restaurant down to just one menu item? The cheeseburger.
I love this burger. It's so delicious.
After all, they do have a lot more on the menu than that. Perhaps the Chinese people really love cheeseburgers?
What
Maybe
the
founders
heck?
really loved cheeseburgers from the real Burger King and thought about starting
this-
their own version featuring just one menu item.
Is this
However
Burger
you want
Shop?
to explain this one, this is our best guess. But the real story behind this Burger King knockoff is that fast food Western burger joints are very well liked in China. But unfortunately, they are mostly only available in big and well-known cities. So the cities in between don't get as much fast food options, and hence these rip-off versions started to pop up. They look the same, taste the same, and therefore generate quite a bit of traffic into
King
their
City.
locations. It might not be the same quality of a real Whopper meal, but something is better than nothing, right?
Oh.
Die for something.
712.
There's no
What? 7.
Identical
12?
branding and logo to the small size convenience store, this knockoff can easily be mistaken for
What? No, I do not live in New York. I live in Michigan. I live in Michigan, the city with 3 rivers. Let me punch him. Okay. No, I live in Michigan, guys. I live in Here's my mailbox right here. PO Box 104, 3 Rivers, Michigan. That's where I live. That's the YouTube box for you guys. I live in Michigan, guys. I live about 30 miles from Kalamazoo. Here's my pillbox address, guys. So if you send me stuff, I will send you guys stuff back. That's how it works here. You guys send me something, I send you guys stuff back. I do have something like merch, but all my merch is handmade. So as soon as I get letters sent from mine, I actually send them back something myself, personally handmade. I actually will write you or type you up a personal letter or something like that with my own special way of me writing it. So yeah, I actually live about 30 miles from Kalamazoo, Michigan, guys. That's all I'm gonna say. So yeah, now back to what we were watching.
A 7-Eleven. If you were
7-12.
sleepwalking or had a few drinks, you might not even know the difference. 7-Eleven is a Japanese-owned international chain of convenience stores, and there have been many replicas popping up all over Asia. Well-thought-out replicas
7-12.
like this one think of every detail of the original brand. Just the names have been slightly changed. Why not 7-12? 7-13 and 7-14 are surely not far behind. You can also find a 7-Apple in China, but this knockoff is not as great as 7-12 because they use Apple's logo in place of 7-Eleven's, making it more obvious that it's not the real deal. 7-Eleven really started to boom a few years back in China because people liked the idea of easy, quick grab-and-go items and started to stop by for daily snacks and even
They're real big around the world. 7-Elevens are real big around the world.
Have you tried the Slurpee? The knockoff version also provides the same sorts of items for quick on-the-go convenience like sandwiches, pop drinks, candy, snacks.
Actually, I had never been to a 7-Eleven.
Chicken feet.
That is just like the recipe calls for.
Taco Bell Grande.
I would like you to accompany me.
To talk about. Actually, think of it. I actually never been to a 7-Eleven actually before. I don't think I've ever been to a 7-Eleven actually. I never actually stepped one foot in a 7-Eleven. I don't think before. If I have, I don't remember going to one. Actually, I always drove by one, but I don't think I've ever been to a 7-Eleven before. Actually, I'm not sure. That's what we're watching.
Taco Bell.
Taco Bell goes up a size to Grande. Just kidding. It's only the knockoff version of Taco Bell, except that this knockoff is like an upscale version, where the logo and restaurant look nothing like the real one, and the menu consists of items like tacos, fajitas, smoked salmon, and oxtail soup. The staff are friendly and wear sombreros. You can order different Mexican dishes and listen to a mariachi band. Off of a playlist, but still. The service is much better than your local Taco Bell. This is one knockoff food chain that really did it right and seems to have more success than the original version of Taco Bell, who didn't do so well in China. Taco Bell Grande offers a complimentary bowl of chips and salsa upon being seated, and this on its own makes it worth the visit. The founders of this knockoff were looking to find the recipe for success with Mexican food in China by making it an upscale, full-service, sit-down restaurant and providing great customer experience and great food. For the average American, Taco Bell is a place with fast food when you don't have a lot of time or want something cheap yet tasty. Taco Bell Grande is one of the best knockoffs because they went above and beyond the genuine one to make it a restaurant people line up to go to, with a detailed bilingual menu and very Mexican-feeling decor. It seems the secret to a successful knockoff fast food chain is including not only the original menu, but also items that are familiar to the Chinese palate.
Taco Bell was the only restaurant to survive the franchise wars.
Dairy Fairy.
Dairy Fairy?
Welcome to Dairy Fairy.
I'll be right back, guys. I get me a water real quick. That's so hilarious. Dairy Fairy? That takes the cake. Go through. That's funny. cleaned it up this morning. I just cleaned it up again. That sucks. We'll clean it up tomorrow, right? Or do it now? Okay. I'll do it tomorrow then. We'll do it tomorrow. I don't like hearing that, especially when I'm working right now. Okay, guys, I'm back. I had to give me a water and a goodie. A goodie thing. Yeah, it's a little cold in here. It's 41 degrees and it's snowing outside. Let me shut the door real quick. I have a new security, like a new thing in the house. It sorta does not really work. Okay, guys, now back to the shotgun ripoffs. How much use does this tab I got? Oh, great. Tomorrow I have to go to bed soon, anyways. I have a thing to do tomorrow morning, which means I have to get a little sleep.
Where instead of a blizzard, you can get an Oreo ice storm. By the looks of the menu, the fake Dairy Queen is also accompanied by a fake Orange Julius as well. There are a number of Dairy Queen lookalikes globally, but it seems as though Dairy Fairy in China is really taking it to the next level by trying to become a fast food chain of their own. With several locations in China, they have even spread to South Africa. Dairy Fairy is known in China to be a popular brand of soft serve ice cream along with their various other ice cream menu items. They also have their cups labeled DF, which is exactly what DQ does on their cups, and all the employee uniforms are pretty much the same. The Chinese copycat brand's slogan is "The Taste of California." It is clear that the logo, style, and the general brand idea is from Dairy Queen. They can't fool us by changing a few colors and menu names like the Ice Storm, but they seem to be fooling others considering they are doing pretty well. There is also another imitation of Dairy Queen, but they call themselves Dairy and Queen. Isn't that original?
You're no fake. You're a genuine.
Pizza Hut.
Pizza Hut!
Some might say that imitation is the sincerest form of flattery because they clearly like what you are doing and you're doing it well. Although for many international companies in China, imitation is the opposite of flattery and they need to constantly protect themselves from counterfeiters. All these companies do it the smart way. They change the name a little bit, or in some cases by one letter, and keep the branding almost identical. Hence the birth of eateries like KFG, Cheeseburger, Dairy Fairy, and Pizza Hut. You might see this and ask, pizza what?
H-U-T.
Yes, we are thinking the same. Where did Pizza Hut go? It turned into Pizza Hut. Same logo, same menu, the same layout, just with the change of one letter. Pizza Hut made no effort to be original in their signage, and they went for a look as similar to Pizza Hut as possible. It is located in a mall, which is dedicated to knockoff stores and restaurants. They could have changed any letter in the name. It really didn't matter. So instead of Pizza Hut, it could have been Pizza Butt or Pizza Gut or even Pizza Tut, the Egyptian-themed Pizza Hut. Actually, that last one sounds more like something for Vegas.
Vegas, here we go!
Buckstar Coffee or Sunbucks Coffee?
Fake Starbucks over there for a cup of fake coffee.
Buckstars, Sunbucks, or USA Bucks are all nothing but a rip-off Starbucks. They really do a solid job with knocking off this world-famous coffee chain, from the logo and branding right down to the printed takeout cups and menu. The Starbucks look-alike named Buckstar Coffee has it down to the logo and branding to look very much like those of genuine Starbucks. Want to know the funny part about some of these knockoff chains, specifically Buckstars? It actually was not designed to cater to city residents, but rather to the tourists.
Large black coffee.
Do you mean a venti?
They were hoping tourists would look for the familiar green mermaid knockoff logo for some comfort and caffeine. They offer similar items to what is on the Starbucks menu, from the basics of a latte or muffin to frappuccinos. Buckstar Coffee is located in the middle of a knockoff mall and received some complaints that people were being easily deceived by the mimicry, thinking they were getting the real Starbucks when they were not. This might have started a little bit of trouble for the brand, especially since they haven't posted on their Twitter account since May 2014. On Twitter, they were posting images of the real Starbucks logo and tweeting that they were serving Starbucks lattes. They even tweeted, "We will be selling Starbucks lattes and voodoo donuts." Seems a little sketchy.
What the
and many
fuck?
people did not like this a latte.
You don't even like them.
OFC, KFC.
This is the best Kentucky Fried Chicken I ever had.
If you thought there was enough KFC knockoffs with ripped off menus, you were wrong. There's more. China made another KFC ripoff in Beijing and called it OFC for Obama Fried Chicken.
O B O
Needless to
S.
say, this got a lot of attention and was considered offensive, so they changed the name again to UFO later on. They used the same
You
colors, font, style, and menu, but this time, instead of targeting Obama, they went for aliens. Yes, I'll get the alien fried popcorn chicken, please, and the
That's just
classic
overkill.
fries with that. Why are there so many KFC ripoffs in China, though? There are tons
Yeah,
of
that's a good
different
question.
variations of the knockoff for this fast food chain. Well, before 1987, China was closed off to the rest of the world, and then
So was the Soviet Union.
was the first American fast food chain to open in China. So when KFC came in, they went wild for it. It was the first Western food they had access to, and many Chinese consumers preferred chicken over other meats like beef or pork. It quickly became not only popular, but China's favorite fast food joint. The original KFC has over 5,000 locations, and in 2017, they made $5 billion in revenue. It is no wonder
Wow.
that others wanted a piece of this success and wealth, so they started to knock it off in hopes of the same success and to maneuver customers to the false KFC by using similar logos, the same color scheme, and menu items.
Well, tonight I'm changing the menu.
Michael Alone.
You're not alone.
Michael
This
alone.
version of McDonald's in China has replicated the Golden Arches and turned them upside down. It's hard to know what the inspiration here was. The upside down arch makes us think of WickDonald's, a popular fictional version of the McDonald's franchise seen in a lot of anime. But what's with the name Michael Alone? Maybe the founder was inspired after watching the movie Home Alone? Or maybe it's in memory of Michael Jackson. After all, he did sing You Are Not Alone. Perhaps the founder of this restaurant was going for something comforting and familiar. The slogan could be, You are not alone, there is fast comfort food for you. They even have a fake Ronald McDonald mascot out in front with the same look, logo, and similar menu as the original McD's. Ironically, the restaurant does look kind of lonely with no customers inside. Maybe this is because you can tell from the terrible name that it's a ripoff Mickey D's. But if not for the Michael Alone name, the restaurant easily could be mistaken for a real McDonald's. From the red and yellow color scheme to the decor and menu, we wonder if it tastes anything like the real McD's. Hopefully they got their crispy fries right at the very
Oh, they
least.
better have.
Yep, French fries.
Go ahead and tap that screen to enjoy another one of our great videos. Are you new to our channel? Then show us some love by hitting that subscribe button and
Well, that's interesting. Okay, one more thing, guys, we will watch. Then who knows? I'm gonna take a thing real quick to tell you. I think we're gonna stay on a little longer, guys, because I think we're doing pretty good. Okay, Corona stuff we don't care about. I mean, I don't care about it because it's just too depressing. I know. Actually, coronavirus is getting better. Maybe to load up. We might do. We might stay up for a little longer, guys. But I do need to get some sleep in a little bit. Cancel that because
They just boarded her up like she was some common warehouse.
Once upon a time, fast food restaurants were the kings of the world, while the likes of McDonald's, Starbucks, and Domino's continue to thrive.
Okay, we'll watch that in a second.
I am the mascot of an evil corporation.
For whatever reason,
I'll be right back. Go to this real quick, and then we will be back on, guys. Okay, guys, we're almost done. I'd like to thanks to our people who have popped. I actually want to thank you to our viewers who have been lately popping on, popping off lately, watching my crazy hijinks now for almost an hour. I'd like to say thank you for watching us, whoever you people are. And this will be the last one for the day, I think, because at 11 o'clock we're starting to shut down today. Right now it's 10:30, so we got maybe half an hour before I go to bed because I have a thing to do tomorrow morning. It doesn't involve you guys.
Someone somewhere decided that fast food restaurants, like sports teams, need mascots. They give us all the best fast food advertisements. And more often than not, they allow for some serious comic relief. To help separate the good from the bad,
What the hell
we
is
put
that?
together a list of our 10
Jack.
favorite fast food mascots of all time.
What is a mascot?
Jack in the Box. For 70 years,
Jack in the
Jack in
Box.
the Box has been a favorite among
Never been
fast
to
food
one.
fans.
Mine is from 300 miles
particularly
away.
those living on the West Coast. While the majority of its 2,200 restaurants are located in the West, Jack in the Box and its famous mascot Jack can be found in big cities all over the United States.
No,
Turn me into a frickin' Jack in the
it's not.
Box.
They're legal in
In the
Michigan.
restaurant's
Can't get one.
television commercials, Jack is depicted as the CEO, founder, and representative of the company. From the neck down, Jack is a man like any other. His head, however, is more similar to that of a snowman. This version of Jack and his iconic yellow clown cap have been repping Jack in the Box since the mid-90s, but the character's origins go back further than that. Through the 60s and 70s, the chain's mascot was a massive clown head dubbed Jack. He was dropped in 1980 in an effort to make the brand seem more mature.
No clown? No clown? Let it go.
Jack's eventual return and transformation in the 90s came about as the result of an E. coli scandal earlier in the decade. His changed appearance was chalked up to the miracle of plastic surgery. The hope was that his reinstatement as the face of the brand would signify a new leaf in the restaurant's history.
What
and
the
would
heck?
help everyone move on from the messy business that almost destroyed it. So we're all glad to have you back at work, Jack. B. Jolly B.
Never
This
seen it.
mascot is probably the most good-spirited one on the list,
It's quite a spirited one, I saw.
but probably the last one you'd want to mess with. Jollibee is a Filipino fast food chain with several locations worldwide. The restaurant, which is best known for its fried chicken meal, has a mascot named Bee. Introduced in the early 80s, Bee was meant to display optimism and joy, making restaurant goers feel welcome and at
Never had
ease
been there.
at
before.
Jollibee.
Never.
As is made evident by the name, Bee is an anthropomorphic bumblebee. Human-sized and colored red and yellow, Bee is usually depicted wearing a chef's hat and a suit jacket and bow tie. As friendly as he looks, Bee isn't to be taken lightly. Staying true to nature, Bee has a stinger that could probably do some significant damage if he wanted it to.
How come he gets a front stinger?
If you find yourself wondering why Bee looks so familiar, it may be because Mickey Mouse was used as inspiration in the character's design. From Bee's shoes to his face shape, you can definitely see the Disney influence. The fact that Bee unconsciously reminds people of Mickey Mouse is another point in his favor, because who doesn't love Mickey? And who doesn't love Jollibee? Maybe their Bee mascot has something to do with this restaurant's growing success. Where's the beef lady? Wendy's.
We just received an alien transmission from the Where's the Beef Lady.
Okay, when you think Wendy's, the first image to come to mind is probably the pig-tailed redhead of the restaurant's namesake. However, this is not the only mascot associated with Wendy's. Typically known as the Where's the Beef Lady, this Wendy's mascot is actually named Clara Peller. When Peller accepted a role in this Wendy's promotional campaign in the 1980s, she probably didn't realize that she would still be known in households across America nearly 40 years later. In the commercial, Peller was given a hamburger from a fictional Wendy's competitor. The burger was served in a giant fluffy bun, as promised by this fictional establishment's slogan, Home of the Big Bun. The two other elderly ladies featured alongside Peller in the commercial poked at the fluffy bun, saying irately that it certainly is a very big bun. They eventually dissected the burger to reveal a miniature hamburger patty.
It's tragedy on the bun.
The reveal was so upsetting to the ladies that Peller exclaimed angrily, "Where's the beef?" And the rest is history. Since then, the question, where's the beef, has become a common turn of phrase, used in context completely unrelated to Wendy's or hamburgers. The fact that Peller is still recognized as one of the most iconic fast food mascots of all time is made all the more impressive by the fact that she hasn't starred in commercials since the 80s. A few years ago, Wendy's answered the long-standing question in a new advertisement campaign where they announced, here's the beef. Cuppy Duncan.
Cuppy?
Out of all the
Cuphead.
mascots included on this list,
Cuppy's
this is
supposed to be
probably
Cuphead.
the one who gets the least love. For some reason, Dunkin' Donuts mascots don't get nearly as much attention as the mascots of other fast food chains. And it's a shame, because this mascot is one of the best. You might not have known this, but Dunkin' actually has two mascots. Of course, there's the donut, Dunkin' Donut, but today we're going to be focusing on his best friend, Cuppy. Cuppy
Or
looks
partner.
identical to the cup in the Dunkin' Donuts logo. Well, if you ignore the arms, legs, and face, that is. So maybe not all that identical. But he is a tall white coffee cup. That is when he's not appearing in his iced coffee form. Cuppy has a healthy respect for seasonal fashion and knows that when the weather gets warmer, it's time for him to trade his white attire for clear plastic and ice cubes.
The more likely explanation for your attire is that you're out of clean clothes again.
Whether he's appearing in his hot or iced coffee form, you're always guaranteed that Cuppy will be in a good mood. This mascot is famous for being happy-go-lucky, and with good reason. Their name might put all the focus on the donuts, but anyone who knows Dunkin' knows that their coffee is the real deal. No wonder
Bro, those
Cuppy's
hot
always
sandwiches
in such a
are
good mood when he's beloved from coast to coast. Little Caesar, Little Caesars. Little Caesar
No.
has been around as long
Michigan.
as the restaurant he represents. He started out as a sketch on a napkin and quickly rose to mascot
Michigan.
status. The
Michigan.
Cardinal Roman has been tweaked slightly over the years, but all in all, he hasn't changed.
I didn't
all
know that he
much
existed.
since the mid-20th century. Originally, the restaurant's silent hero, Little Caesar, was given the famous phrase "pizza, pizza" in the 80s.
Pizza, pizza.
It doesn't sound like much, but it's not what he says, it's how he says it. The mascot's tone is bright and humorous, and it turns the simple two-word exclamation into a timeless saying. While we more than approve of the Little Caesar
He's from
mascot,
Michigan, so yeah.
it's probably safe to say that Julius Caesar, the historical figure from which the brand takes its name, would be pretty offended by this cutesy caricature. Considering his role as a military general dictator of the Roman Republic, he'd probably take this depiction as a major blow to his street cred. But the cheesiness is what makes Little Caesar so endearing. And the cheese is what keeps us coming back for the pizza.
Said something about a fat kid rally at Little Caesars.
The Hamburglar, McDonald's. Mickey D's has several mascots associated with its brand that aren't clowns, stemming from the creation of McDonaldland. When he was first
Playland.
introduced in the early 1970s, the Hamburglar was a thing of nightmares.
Are you a hamburger?
Luckily, the creators quickly realized that the character looked less like a mascot who was supposed to appeal to children and more like someone off of a 10 Most Wanted list. They completely revamped him. The Hamburglar we all know and love looks more like a Muppet on the run from the law. His crime? Stealing every hamburger he can get his hands on. Unfortunately for him, but luckily for the rest of us, he isn't usually successful in his ventures. Despite the fact that he's arguably one of the best fast food mascots out there, this version of the Hamburglar has hung up his cape.
The hamburger was survived by his longtime companion, Mayor McCheese.
McDonald's brought him back a few years ago, but instead of a puppet, he's live action. Even more disturbing, he's been described as hunky. This updated version of the Hamburglar hasn't reached the level of popularity of his impish Muppet counterpart. And judging by how iconic the latter incarnation of the Hamburglar got over his 40 years of thieving, he's not going to be surpassed anytime soon. Wendy's.
I just think Wendy's cool.
You can instantly spot a Wendy's a mile away thanks to its mascot, the young girl who gave the restaurant its name. Wendy's founder, Dave Thomas, drew inspiration for the brand's mascot from his 8-year-old daughter. Yeah, the rest of us got Legos and Barbies for our 8th birthdays. Wendy Thomas got an entire fast food restaurant chain dedicated to her.
Wait,
A restaurant?
As a result, she became one of the most recognizable faces in America. Well, her 8-year-old face is recognizable. We don't know if we could pick her out of a crowd now that she's nearing 60. The Wendy's mascot started off as just a logo for the brand, but eventually, Wendy Thomas starred as her in the restaurant's commercials. That's about as authentic as a mascot can get. The real Wendy might have grown up, but the mascot designed after her is frozen in time. This mascot has been around for so long that she's inseparable from the fast food chain. You can't have one without the other. Thomas's decision to design the brand's mascot after his daughter is decidedly wholesome and makes the restaurant's atmosphere all the more welcoming. Colonel Sanders, KFC. Like the Wendy's
Colonel
mascot,
Sanders.
KFC's Colonel Sanders was based on a real person. This time, the inspiration was the restaurant's founder, Harland Davidson.
Okay, before pop quiz, true or false? Colonel Sanders actually knew David. Okay, true or false? Now this is true. Now this is true. This is okay. Sorry. Okay, true fact. Dave Thomason actually worked with Colonel Sanders. That is a true fact. Colonel said Colonel told him actually, since he did such a good job, he told him to make his own restaurant. So he did. So that's true. Dave Thomason actually worked with Colonel Sanders for a while.
Sanders. Sounds like a Dukes of Hazzard character, doesn't he?
Oh, yes, hi, Colonel Sanders.
Sanders was given the honorary title of Kentucky Colonel in 1935 thanks to his culinary contributions. Sanders might have sold off the fast food chain after 30 years in the business, but the mascot he inspired stuck around. Sanders was an active ambassador for the brand right up until his death, and continued to make appearances in his famous white suit while battling cancer. He was incredibly dedicated to KFC and wanted to ensure that customers always had the best experience possible. You can see why he was chosen to be the face of the company. More recently, the fictional version of Colonel Sanders has been shoved into the spotlight of KFC advertisements. In the past, his personality has kind of taken the back seat, but now is his time to shine. Often portrayed by comedians, the opportunities for humor are endless. But in the end, it's the friendly, familiar face that keeps us coming back for more. After all these years, it would be impossible to trust anyone else to satisfy our KFC cravings.
Honey, do you think KFC's still open?
The Burger King, Burger King. Making Burger King's mascot a literal king was the only logical decision. Out of all the mascots on this list, the Burger King is probably the one who's gone through the most transformation. Back in the 50s,
Really?
when he was first introduced, the Burger King was an elderly monarch in a lopsided crown who was usually depicted sitting on a burger and holding a fountain drink nearly as big as he was. Throughout the 60s and 70s, he was transformed into a caricature of a king and given the gold and red royal uniform that the mascot continues to be seen in today. The next iteration of the Burger King was the first to be proportioned like an act. Is the creepiest by far. It probably has something to do with his rubber mask. Creepiness aside, the most recent iteration of this mascot is the most detailed by far. His luxurious robes are intricate, and his crown even has the fast food chain's logo printed on it. Regardless of which design of the Burger King is your favorite, you can't deny that the restaurant wouldn't be the same without him.
I love Burger King, don't you?
Ronald McDonald, McDonald's. When you hear the phrase fast food mascot, there's a good chance that the first thing to come to mind is the only clown that doesn't scare us half to death. McDonald's has had a lot of mascots over the years, but none of them have ever come close to reaching the level of fame of the original. We are, of course, talking about Ronald McDonald.
You're not going out with all that makeup on.
But, Dad,
Upstairs, you're a McDonald.
The red-haired, yellow jumpsuit-wearing clown hasn't been around quite as long as McDonald's, but the restaurant hadn't been around long when Ronald McDonald first appeared. Ronald McDonald isn't just McDonald's mascot. He also has the honor of being the fast food chain's Chief Happiness Officer, or CHO. Not only that, but he's also the face of the Ronald McDonald House Charities, a non-profit organization
I remember those
designed
guys.
to promote the well-being
Still
of children.
today.
All these reasons together are what have earned Ronald McDonald the #1 spot on the list of our favorite fast food mascots of all time.
French fries are sold to McDonald's, whose founder is Ronald McDonald.
He does good, he spreads spreads joy, and he's a classic. Pressure has been put on McDonald's to retire Ronald McDonald, with the argument being that he encourages children to eat fast food, which is bad for their health. McDonald's stayed strong, refuting the accusations with the claim that the decision to eat fast food is an individual choice, and all Ronald McDonald serves to do is spread joy. We're glad he stuck around, because we can't imagine a McDonald's without Ronald.
I think I found us a creepy new mascot.
Tap on another great video, subscribe to our
Okay.
channel, and click that note.
Well, that's what we're gonna watch. This is the last one, guys. Then we're gonna shut down tonight.
On it.
How about servers?
They're up and running.
This one we're gonna watch. We're definitely. This is the last one we're watching, and I am shutting down.
It's important to give credit where credit's due. That's why my school lets you transfer your prior college credits, saving you time and money. I like that.
Last one, guys. I'm gonna pass out.
We're here to find a new mascot.
Fast food mascots act as bells to Pavlov's dog, with their bright colors and friendly faces triggering mouth-watering cravings. From those that worked well and are still used today, to those that frankly didn't make much sense, here are 10 untold truths about fast food mascots.
I hate mascots.
Wendy's given name was Melinda.
Remember, Wendy, we make our hamburgers hot and juicy.
The long standing mascot for Wendy's has been a girl named Wendy, the freckle-faced, smiling 8-year-old girl with braids. She is modeled after the 4th child of the founder, Dave Thomas. As a young girl, Dave's daughter, Melinda Lou, had some difficulty with pronunciation. In particular, R's and L's were hard for her to articulate. As a result, it was tough for the little tyke to say her own name.
What's your name?
To help her out, she was given the nickname Wendy, which ended up leading to the name of a now widely beloved square-pattied burger chain. The image of Wendy is in Melinda Lou's likeness. The Wendy's advertising strategy hasn't just focused on their mascot throughout the years. Founder Dave Thomas appeared as himself in more than 800 Wendy's ads, usually speaking to the camera about the quality and integrity of his chain. He appeared in more television commercials than any other restaurant founder throughout history.
And there actually is someone else that too. Dave Thomason actually did do some charity commercials. I do remember watching some old VHS tape, maybe 10, 15, maybe about 10, 15, almost 20 years ago, okay? I'll say, okay. Remember watching an old movie about 20 years ago, the TV commercial, where Dave Thomason talks, it was on TV or it was on tape. Dave Thomason talked about how Wendy's is now is helping out, foster care. Do you remember that happening? That maybe was about last time I seen one of those. Maybe it was on tape or it was on TV. About I would say I was 5 or 6. So about 20 years ago. About 20 years. I forget what movie it was. Like 20 years ago, I think. Yeah. So I was like 5 or 6. So like 20 years ago. Well, I haven't been to Toys R Us in 20 years either. I wish I went to it before they closed it finally down to the. That's when the Toys R Us. That's not what Phil was. My cousin Phil. Oh yeah, I was like 7 years and maybe at least 8.
After Thomas's passing, a few different ad strategies were tried out. In 2012, the chain introduced Red, a more grown-up riff on the iconic Wendy's girl image. Portrayed by Morgan Smith, the character resembled an adult version of the Wendy's girl and used the catchphrase, "Now that's better." She appears in various environments, offices, and back seats of cars, with a mission to help people take their lunches from sad to spectacular, directing them to Wendy's for their needs.
I will do what needs to be done.
Colonel Sanders was the Wendy's guy's boss.
The boss?
Colonel Sanders is one of the most recognizable fast food
Told ya.
mascots, with his iconic white hair, mustache and beard, crisp white suit, and black necktie. He depicts Southern charm, traditional cooking, and hospitality. It's rare that a company founder is also the full-on mascot of the company, imitated by famous comedians and appearing as a pop culture reference all over the media. Even after selling the company in the mid-1960s, Sanders remained a brand ambassador for KFC and is still used as the symbol for hot and fresh KFC today, long after his passing. Colonel Sanders himself founded KFC in the early 1950s after selling fried chicken from a roadside stand during the Great Depression.
We called it a Great Depression.
In 1962, multiple locations in Indiana were having trouble staying afloat and needed a bit of help. Sanders offered a job to none other than Dave Thomas, the future owner of Wendy's, and the man who appeared in their commercials until his death. Thomas worked directly under Sanders, tasked with turning around the failing locations in exchange for a 45% stake in the restaurants. Among Dave Thomas's changes to the locations were paring down the options on the menus, as well as creating a giant revolving bucket of chicken to use as a sign. The ideas worked, and instead of sticking around, Thomas sold back his stake in the company and opened up the first ever Wendy's restaurant in Columbus, Ohio.
He named it after me.
Ronald McDonald used to dispense burgers from his belt.
I am standing in the middle of a burger rain.
The early design of the now iconic fast food mascot, Ronald McDonald, was a tad less charming and certainly less effective than his current day incarnation. Willard Scott was a weatherman, radio host, and children's television performer. He was asked to portray the first ever Ronald McDonald when the company decided to create a new mascot in the 1960s. The character was startling to say the least, and amazing to say the most. Sometimes bad ideas are the most treasured memories for all of us. The clown appeared in television ads with a McDonald's cup for a nose, a full food tray perched on top of his head in place of a hat, and red face paint in the shape of a gaping smile. He had a maniacal look on his face and dry, straw-like hair poking out from under his tray hat. The strangest part of the character was his food belt that held a drink, burger, and fries, and could dispense an unlimited number of hamburgers, replacing each one that Ronald pulled away. Sometimes the clown was featured on roller skates or feeding hamburgers from his belt to random children on the street. The most interesting and impressive part of all of this is how little fear the children showed when meeting Ronald, despite his alarming appearance and disposition.
This isn't real enough for you, Billy.
Chuck E. Cheese was almost a coyote.
Welcome to Chuck E. Cheese's.
You know how it goes. In the beginning, there was a coyote. Then there was a rat, or something like that. The creator of Chuck E. Cheese was, interestingly, Nolan Bushnell. Bushnell is also the founder of Atari. The chain was his idea for making games more profitable by
That makes
offering
sense
them
now.
only at a location. In this case, a location attached to a restaurant with an animatronic animal
All
band.
animatronics
and
were made by
really good pizza.
All animatronics were
Originally, Bushnell planned on calling the joint Coyote Pizza and using a coyote as the mascot, which would have been an entirely different vibe for old Chuck. The story goes that a coyote costume was ordered with the intent to create a robot interior and make it into an animatronic character. When the costume arrived, it was not a coyote, but rather a giant rat. Bushnell decided to take what the universe had given him and renamed the restaurant/arcade to Rick Rat's Pizza. Not the best idea for a pizza spot to name itself after the grossest subway commuters. But what a nice foreshadowing to Pizza Rat. To rectify the off-putting situation,
Pasquale!
the name was changed one more time to Chuck E. Cheese. The original Chuck was much more grisly in appearance, with a habit of smoking cigars and friends who referred to him as a jolly good rodent. With a thick New Jersey accent and drooping eyelids, he was a far cry from the hip young mouse. Yes, Chuck morphed into a mouse who jams on guitar today.
Is it okay if we go guitar shopping tomorrow?
The Chick-fil-A Eat More Chicken cows are real.
Holy chicken soup!
When a video was uploaded to Facebook in March 2019 of a real-life cow crossing traffic and heading straight for a Chick-fil-A, the cow mascots received some free publicity. The Indiana cow seemed intent on dining at the poultry place, tailed by cops and enthralled passersby. It's possible that the cow thought it might be one of Chick-fil-A's Cow Appreciation Days, when they give free entrees to folks who dress up as cows, or presumably real cows. While this cow gave
What the-
realism and legitimacy to the Chick-fil-A cows, some have found them disturbing in the past. The idea of a group of farm animals pleading with humans to eat their farm animal friends instead is a bit gross to some, but you can't argue that it sticks in your head, like it or not. The cows first appeared in 1995 on a billboard in Atlanta, featuring two cows, one stacked on top of the other, painting the words "Eat More Chicken" to be seen by passing cars.
Perfect chicken eating weather.
The mascots were a hit and have appeared as plushies, featured in a cowlander, on water towers, and with their slogan splashed across cow cars. One of the edgiest mascot campaigns that actually worked. These cows worked tirelessly to drive consumers away from beef patties and towards chicken sandwiches and products.
I see Terry. He's having a chicken sandwich.
Hamburglar used to be called Lone Jogger.
Are you a hen?
Pets are an important part of the
You know what,
family.
guys? I think we're done. Okay, guys, you know what?
Love and attention.
We're done.
For Health is a
This is
quality
bull.
medicine
So I'm
inspired by your
gonna get off
commitment
this,
to giving
turn this
your
off, and go to bed. Thanks for watching, guys.
In 1971, Hamburglar first emerged as a tricky older man who stole burgers to feed his supersized appetite for McDonald's food. He wore a white t-shirt with the words Lone Jogger on the front, and occasionally he would
Okay,
be
we're staying
referred
on.
to that in the television ads, as if that was his name. It's never quite come out why he was referred to as such, but it must have something to do with him being on a solo mission to race around and hoard hamburgers and other treats. He spoke in an incoherent gibberish, muttering continuously when interacting with other characters in McDonaldland. As the 80s approached, the character was revised to be much less intimidating and way softer. Instead of depicting him as a real older man, he was shown as a cartoony younger character who had an obsession with hamburgers but wasn't as quick to rip them away from other people as they were trying to enjoy their food. His catchphrase became "Robble Robble,"
Rubble, rubble, America.
instead of the constant rambling of his previous incarnation. The Hamburglar was phased out of the company's promotional characters in the early 2000s, along with Birdie, Grimace, and the Bunch. There was a grown-up, sexier version depicted in the 2015 campaigns for the sirloin third-pound burger, with a hip look and portrayed by a fit actor with a bit of scruff. The revision was not child-friendly and didn't appeal much to adults, so it didn't stick around for long. But it was certainly less disturbing than the original Lone Jogger.
I'm the Hammer Robber.
The short-lived Quiznos sponge monkeys just wanted attention.
That's an attention getter.
While a lot of fast food mascot ideas are meant to have longevity and become iconic images for customers to remind them of their favorite lunch spots, the Quiznos sponge monkeys were really just meant to be weird. In the mid-2000s, these strange, deformed rodents with bulging eyes appeared in fancy hats to perform songs about Quiznos. They originated as characters by web animator Joel Veitch, who made a video featuring the sponge monkeys, in which they sang about how much they liked the moon, cheese, and fluffy animals, among other things. The tunes were performed with one sponge monkey singing in a high-pitched, grating voice, and the other strumming an acoustic guitar. Quiznos ads featured lyrics describing all the good things about Quiznos and their sandwiches, such as the toasty warmth of the bread and the pepper bar available to patrons.
I'll be right back, guys. I'm gonna take care of something quick here. I gotta toss this stuff in the trash. Listen, guys, we're gonna get going to bed soon. Now we're gonna finish the video up and go to bed, get some stuff, and who knows what I'll do. I'm gonna stay for a little bit longer. There's this be up, and then we'll go to bed. I'm sorry, guys. Just that I'm tired. I'm staying out for a little longer. I'm gonna pack up, go to bed. Wake up in a couple of minutes, and then do something else. So let's finish this up. I go to bed, then we're starting a new series tomorrow I was working on.
At the time, people had some questions, mainly about who thought it was a good idea to use smushed up, screeching rodents to advertise delicious sandwiches.
I just can't resist myself.
Chief Marketing Officer Trey Hall responded with the explanation that since Quiznos doesn't have as large of a budget compared to their sandwich chain competitors, they needed to go for a dramatic impact in their ads. The idea was to be strange, stand out, and maybe even confuse people. That way people would talk to each other about the ads, gaining more momentum and traction for the Quiznos campaign.
Quiznos now has better ingredients and toasty new sandwiches.
Grimace used to frighten children.
I'm a 7-year-old boy.
Grimace, the large, purple, blobby character who resided in McDonald Land with Hamburglar, Mayor McCheese, Birdie, and the McNugget Butt.
Okay, guys, I'm done. So, guys, we're shutting down. I'm going to bed. Right now, it's 41 degrees. It's 36 degrees right now, and it's clear. So, I'm going to bed. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and if you have any questions, don't forget to hit that like button. Whatever. Time to bed.